Ukraine is among the top 3 largest operators of Humvees in the world, about 6,000 units.
Thanks to the Americans for this equipment.
But only here does the order of the Humvee exist.
There is a secret chat in Ukraine where only those who work with Humvees communicate.
We invoke the steel.
You are watching how a Humvee priest, in the presence of crew goblins, conducts an initiation rite for the fresh meat, who doesn't yet know that Humvee doors don't just close, you force them to.
Everything here is very heavy, absolutely every part. This old girl needs a strong crew to keep her rolling.
However, the military guys still love it, for its self-sacrifice, in the literal sense of the word. Because if you strip down one Humvee, you can restore 26 others. Engine, transmission, suspension, pedals, controls, wiring, even doors and seats. All of it is modular and essentially bolt-on across different Humvee variants.
It's like a Lego set. The main thing is to know the sequence.
That is why Ukrainians try to recover even completely destroyed vehicles from the battlefield. Because a Humvee doesn't die, it gets distributed among the living. This is an important feature because transport on the front line is always in short supply. But it is still considered the sledgehammer of vehicles. And that is not a flaw. Because
today the Humvee took a hit from a 14.5mm round. But it's nothing. It can be restored.
Even the armored modifications are designed only for protection against a 7.62mm bullet and shrapnel. How did the Humvee survive such shelling? There is a secret here. To the surprise of the Americans, the Ukrainian military discovered that the Humvee is actually a Swiss Army knife. Which modifications are the rarest, and which turned out to be the most useful in the conditions of modern war? Why did the Ukrainian operational experience shock even the creators of the Hum? Which part here is the smallest and at the same time the most important? Right now, you will see everything with your own eyes. The Humvee is already warming up, and you still haven't hit the like button. Fix that. Especially since the order of the Humvee doesn't recruit just anyone.
We are waiting for your likes, comments, and subscription to the Weapons of Victory channel.
Tell me, where are we going, bro? To the enemies.
The Ukrainian army received its first Humvees back in 2001. Although they are not that old, in this war they are like aliens from the past. A significant part of the fleet in Ukraine is soft skin modifications that were not designed for frontline combat. This has happened before in its career. Back in the day, even before the appearance of the official armored version of the Humvee, the American military bolted steel plates on the outside. Ukrainians are doing the exact same thing to adapt them to the conditions that have developed on the battlefield right now.
This is not a welded construction. Everything here is attached with bolts.
They bolt on additional plates on the outside or mount Kevlar elements inside, which retain the bullet or its fragments even with partial penetration of the outer layer.
If a piece of shrapnel penetrates the armor, it gets stuck in this lining.
But what about the glass? Because 14.5mm rounds have colossal energy and usually pierce light armored vehicles. The armored glass that is currently being produced in Ukraine for Humvees is often made thicker than the original American ones, so that it can withstand heavier hits and close artillery bursts. To withstand a 50 caliber or 14.5mm, the thickness of the block increases from the standard 60mm to 100mm, and even more, 140mm. But, as you can see, it saves the crew's lives. The weight of such a block is from 60 kilograms. That is why it is bolted on the outside, so that it doesn't kill anyone from the crew during a crash or a strike. The external placement allows leaving the Humvee quickly in a critical situation.
If the vehicle is on its side, you won't open the heavy doors. Then you just turn these handles and the glass falls out.
Of course, the blind application of non-standard solutions can be fatal, because the excessive weight reduces the lifespan of the components. Fortunately, back in the day, the Hum received a huge safety margin for the base chassis. It's as if the American engineers guessed that a harsh fate was waiting for it. The sheer strength of the chassis allows you to create any modifications on this platform. In Ukraine, special units handle this. Later on, you will see their work. But if the frame can be reinforced, what about the engine and the automatic transmission? Because an extra 1 or 1.5 tons is a noticeable difference. Unarmored versions often have a 3-speed transmission. This is a problem, so they try to swap them out for a 4-speed one, which easily handles the heavy weight thanks to electronic control. A Humvee transmission swap is a relatively simple and well-known trick in the States, so we won't get hung up on that. But the V8 Humvee deserves special attention.
There hasn't been a single time when it didn't start.
This monster is capable of running on anything. The main thing is that the bulk of the fuel cocktail consists of something that burns. Everything else could be donkey piss for all it cares. And all of this without complex electronics. But sometimes rain or a puddle forces the mighty GM Detroit diesel to fall silent. The issue is in this little breather valve on the fuel lift pump. If it breaks, water from the rain or puddles easily gets into the fuel line. And because of a penny part the size of a fingernail, a massive military all-terrain vehicle with a V8 becomes immobilized. And this is the drain hole, the most important hole in the Humvee. Ascent is almost twice the size of this opening, through which dirt, water, and used oil are supposed to drain out from the valley of the block. But if the drain gets clogged, the fuel pump dies, the engine stalls, and the Humvee becomes a target. You'll be surprised, but the Humvee's engine has very modest power and torque, on the level of a civilian SUV. Why then is the Hum's off-road capability on the level of heavy tracked vehicles? Here in the wheels, a very atypical thing is implemented: portal gear hubs. Unlike a regular car, it adds an extra step between the axle and the wheel. Just like a tractor, this extra gear multiplies the torque right at the wheel, giving it the massive grunt needed to crawl through anything. As a result, the Hum digs in until it bottoms out on its belly. And when it does bottom out, your best helper is a shovel. You can take your time because the front line is far away. Today, you almost won't find them on the battlefield. The days of dashing attacks with a Ma-Deuce on the roof, as you understand, are gone. However, this does not mean that Humvees are standing idle in the garage. It has evolved. From an attack vehicle, it has turned into a workhorse. It transports ammo, evacuates the wounded. But you could use other pickup trucks for this, couldn't you?
It's impossible to compare. A pickup truck is repaired every day, a Humvee once every few months.
Timely evacuation often means a saved life of a fighter. Thousands of Humvees on the front line means thousands of saved people, every single day. Therefore, the usefulness of the American vehicle is hard to overestimate.
With the help of this Humvee, we evacuate the wounded, thanks to the free world for the help.
And they also mount other weapons and equipment on it.
It has been modified. A UMZ is installed here, a system for remote mining.
Each of these blocks contains 30 charges with anti-tank magnetic mines, which are ejected by explosive squibs to a distance of up to 100 meters from the vehicle. But the main thing is, the mining can be carried out at full speed.
If you drive at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour, the operator presses a button on the remote control every 2 seconds.
Thanks to their exceptional characteristics and off-road capability, Humvees are often used as a platform for heavy weaponry. On the two-seater M1152 versions, they mount guide rails from multiple rocket launcher systems. You can mount any improvised multiple rocket launcher system here, because the sturdy chassis will withstand any recoil. In addition, Ukrainians operate a small number of specialized vehicles based on the Hum, Avenger anti-aircraft systems, mobile anti-tank complexes with TOWs, and launchers for APKWS's guided rockets. And even self-propelled 105mm 2CT Hawkeye howitzers. This is the rarest Humvee-based equipment in the world, because even American units don't have the 2CT Hawkeye. Ukraine is the only country where you can meet this rare beast, because American generals, back in the day, rejected this cannon on wheels for some reason. At first glance, the idea of mounting an M20 on a Humvee chassis is quite simple, but that's not the case. Soft recoil technology, SRT, is applied here. Its purpose is to absorb and reduce recoil forces by moving the cannon forward before firing and then using a hybrid recoil mechanism to return it to its initial position. Without SRT, the shot won't be accurate. There is a separate video about the 2CT Hawkeye on our channel. We recommend watching it after finishing this video. But right now, you will see something that no army in the world operating Humvees has. When the number of Humvees in Ukraine started to be measured in the thousands, the military realized they needed a specialized service because the vehicles were being repaired either directly within the units or at private repair shops. That is when Ukrainians designed something that didn't even exist in the army yet.
I did my training in the States, so I kept in touch with both the instructors and the manufacturer. When I asked if they had a maintenance vehicle that allows for a complete repair of any Humvee, they said that you need 3 maintenance vehicles for different tasks.
This trailer includes a full-fledged tire shop with wheel balancing, pneumatic and hydraulic jacks, a generator, a loader crane that allows swapping an engine right in the field in 2 to 3 hours, and 3 spare engines on board.
We swapped the engine even out in the field.
7 of these workshops on wheels are operating across all sectors of the front line. The repair protocols are strictly defined. Perhaps it is only thanks to these crews that Humvees in Ukraine are still in the fight. Write in the comments about your own experience operating the Hum, since we have a lot of military folks among our viewers. Or if you are not yet a member of the Order of the Humvee, drop your thoughts on the fact that Pete Hegseth ordered the army to stop purchasing obsolete systems, directly citing the Humvee as an example of excess equipment. And in these playlists, you will find other videos about American weapons in this war. Stay safe and support Ukraine.